ng kanilang serbisyo.
Everyone who is out in the street and not as lucky as all of us that we are at home, we pray for you, and we'll always ask the Lord to keep you safe, that you don't get any illnesses, because we need you. Thank you very much for your service.
Hindi biro ang ginagalawan ng ating mga frontliners sa ngayon dahil sa kanilang pagsasakripisyo ng kanilang buhay ay nagiging ligtas. Lalong-lalo na sa mga kagaya naming field reporter ay sila. Kayo po ang aming mga inspirasyon dahil sa pamamagitan ninyo, nakakatayo pa kami kung saan kami napupunta upang magbigay ng mga kaganapan at higit sa lahat, saludo po kami sa inyo. Kaya para sa ating mga frontliners, go lang po tayo para sa bayan, para maligtas tayo sa COVID-19.
Saludo po kami sa inyong matapang at matapat na paninindigan. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Maraming salamat po.
Yeah! Shoutout sa lahat ng mga nasa kanilang mga bahay, mga timbahay natin dyan. Yeah! Yo! COVID-19 ka lang. Yo! Paano ba dapat iwasan? Ace Gut Beats nga pala, Ace Guts.
Ace Guts on the beat.
Masyado ka na bang natatakot, nagugulumihanan sa mga napapanood mo? Kakilakilabot na balita na kamamatay na virus, dulutay pagkalito. Kakabaka-baka hita sa loob ka ng bahay, baka ka madapuan. Parang baka pa sa pamilihan yung mga kailangan, baka ka maubusan. Pahabol-habol, sino may alcohol, baka may maskatol sa may bandaron. May bumibili pa nga ng 2 kahon, nilalamon natin nila hasta mo katol. Gusto ko namang hamon, kailan magkakaroon? Imbis na mataranta, pati maghinahon. Magdiwang ay magsalo-salo sa ganito sitwasyon. Manatili ka sa bahay, mas ligtas ka ron. Sumunod sa alituntunin dahil ang magsisi lagi na sa dulo. Minsan ang kapahamakan wala sa virus kundi sa katigasan ng ulo. Walang turuan, dapat ang tulungan dahil yun ang pinakamaigi. Hugas kamay sa lababo, hindi sa paninisi, habaan ng pisi. Basahin mo mabuti, nakita mo balita bago mo ikala, dapat manigurado. Pag hindi ka naging responsable, magigimik siya ng bagong pagkatalo. Simulan mo sa iyo ang pagbabago, pangako sa iyo may mababago. Kapag ang tama, minamasama, iba ka nalang layunin, hindi yung mga tao. Basta sumunod ka, kumonsulta, saka mong pumunta, dapat nga malugod ka. Dahil may mga taong handang ialik ang ilang buhay para hindi ka madapuan ng sakit. Wala yung kapalit upang yung makamit di ka sa buhay dito sa kalagitnaan ng panahon ng krisis, hindi dapat ibinawaglit. Saludo sa mga frontline ng ating bayan. Di lang sila, lahat tayo ay may kinalaman. Huwag mo hayaang malantakan na parang halaman. Dinagyan mo ang iyong sarili ng kaalaman. Wala munang hahawak ng bola, beso-beso kay lolo't lola. Baka hindi lang paggalang ang maipasa mo, coronavirus. Iwan sa labas ang nice shoes, imbis na magchichirya, right foot, veg and fruits. At kapag nasunod mo ng lahat, ikaw pa'y alanganin. Alanganin ng kontrol, idaan mo na sa panalangin. At nakalimang napapahamak, tandaan mong di ka dapat na matakot. Dapat sumunod ka sa kanyang utos, sa dakilang manggagamot.
Bonjour, good morning, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. You're watching eSports from Canada. I'm Marco Zerudo, coming to you from Toronto, news stories from across the country. Now, you're probably either eating breakfast or you might be getting ready to go out. If you are going out, like we always say, well, please practice proper precautions, social and physical distancing, so that you can keep not only yourself but others safe. Now, if you are eating, sit back and relax, and we will do our best. We keep lines. Let's see what the weather looks like there in Manila. AccuWeather is forecasting a high of 29 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Now we'll look at the weather here in Canada. Our weather street scene comes from Squamish, British Columbia. Thank you, Kathleen Cruz, for this video. We go across the country, starting from the west coast in Vancouver, Canada. It's mostly cloudy, 14 degrees Celsius. In Edmonton, cloudy also, 14 degrees Celsius. In Calgary, sunny at 14 degrees Celsius as well. In Winnipeg, tonight, 14 degrees Celsius, partly sunny. The same goes with Montreal, 23 degrees, and warm. 23 degrees, partly sunny. On the air conditioners are on, say, partly sunny, 25 degrees Celsius. Now let's go to today's headlines. As we look at the current COVID numbers in Canada, the numbers continue to go up with more than 9,000 cases. But of course, as long as we can maintain particles, we need to our health officials in the press conference highlight to be the underlying was the word. He started off as united with the rest of the world when it comes to finding the vaccine.
Kahit na maraming kababayan natin ang nasa loob lang ng kanilang tahanan, hindi naman ito naging hadlang upang ipamalas nila ang natatangi nilang galing.
Ano ang nangyari sa'yo?
Sa ating next episode, saksihan ang online audition ng ating mga TNG aspirants. Siyempre, dito lang yan sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa Pilipinas, Tagisan ng Galing.
This program is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChops, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChops. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Matinco. R Square Variables Incorporated. CompuZell Computer Services. Saisho International Trading Corporation. DN Steel. EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandmix Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandmix Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
The Bulacan Bulk Water Project is a treatment facility that will provide bulk water to the 24 municipalities of Bulacan to meet the increasing water demand of its residents. Through concessionaire, SMC Infrastructure also initiated the significant improvements of the Manila North Harbor Port, the country's busiest port.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks. With active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit, lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen, sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
Welcome back to EBC News from Canada. We now go to today's headlines. As we look at the current COVID numbers in Canada, the numbers continue to go up, 93,000 confirmed, as we said earlier. And the hope is as Canadians continue to try to be responsible, we can avoid or at least prevent a second wave of COVID-19. Now, another day, another press conference, another part of Canada highlighted, another Canadian helped. And what seemed to be the underlying message in this press conference was unity. He started off by sharing that Canada is united with the rest of the world to find a vaccine for COVID-19 as Canada took part in another international summit, this time the Gavi Summit.
Earlier today, Canada took part in a replenishment conference for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, which was hosted by the United Kingdom. Gavi does incredibly important work around the globe, delivering vaccines to some of the world's most vulnerable. They've also been helping developed countries to respond to outbreaks like COVID-19. Gavi saves lives, and Canada is doing its part.
Now, what is Gavi, some may ask? Well, Gavi, or the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations, is a global health partnership of both public and private sectors dedicated for immunization for all. And according to the Canadian press, Canada has already pledged about $600 million to Gavi, which has immunized in the last 20 years almost 800 million children and prevented about 13 million deaths across the globe since 2000. Saving children's lives and protecting the general public through immunization, especially in poor countries, is its mission. And the hope is that Gavi will continue to be able to help as many as possible to survive this crisis. Now, uniting on the international front means sharing data. Well, that also means sharing data has to be accurate at home, and Trudeau touched on this by saying Canada is making progress, yes, but fully recovered with COVID-19? Not yet.
The data shows that we are continuing to make progress in the fight against this virus. In many communities, the number of new cases is low, and we can trace where they came from. That's an encouraging sign that the virus is slowing and in some places even stopping. But I want to be very clear. We're not out of the woods.
He went on further and said that there are still clear dangers in many sectors across the country. Like, for example, the long-term care home and the rate of infection continues to be serious. So while loosening the restrictions is something we all want, of course, that means we have to strengthen the measures like testing. That needs to happen. So as individual Canadians, we need to be responsible when it comes to practicing physical distancing, washing our hands, wearing a mask, and all the other precautions that we need to do so that we can keep the situation under control. So whether we decide to go to a gathering of any sort for whatever reason, whether it be going to the park or a rally, or even something as basic and just as important as just going to the supermarket for our daily needs, let's all continue to be united in being responsible. Now, speaking on more specific help, Trudeau announced in the past that our most vulnerable Canadians, our seniors, like everybody else, will be given assistance, and he spoke about understanding the situation that they're all in at this time.
The Canada Pension Plan, Old Age Security, and the Guaranteed Income Supplement were our first line of defense. But over time, this pandemic has made life more expensive. Seniors haven't been able to take public transit. They haven't been able to go to a store or shop the sales because of the virus. Instead, they've had to rely on deliveries to get things they need, and it adds up. And what makes things even harder is the fact that this is the new normal for many of them, at least for a little while. Even as we start to reopen parts of the economy, many seniors will have to stay home for longer to protect their health. And that's really weighing on them.
Now, speaking on more specific help, Trudeau announced in the past that our most vulnerable Canadians, our seniors, are going to get these assistance. And in April, about 4 million seniors got help from the government initially, a top-up in their bank accounts. And he said at the time that additional funds would be given. So today he announced that those additional funds would come on July 6th, with seniors receiving between $1,000 to $1,500 depending on their situation. Now, back on the international front, Trudeau commented on the geopolitics he is engaged in, and as this is for Canada being a global player, is this for Canada, or is Canada just acting as, a reporter asked, a Trojan horse for the United States?
I think we have demonstrated over the past years with our deep commitment to multilateralism, our commitment to progressive trade in this era of globalization. We've become the only G7 country that has a free trade deal with every single other G7 country. We know that engaging around the world is important both for Canadians' health and well-being, but also for the good of our economy. We have done that consistently.
Now, last week, we spoke about Canada vying for that non-permanent UN Security Council seat, and if all these actions of leading on the international front and the national front is related to that, with the vote only 2 weeks away and with only 2 seats available, but 3 countries vying for it, Norway and Ireland being the other countries respectively, it looks like Canada doesn't want to be the odd one out. Now, speaking on the hot topic of yesterday, last week, today, this week, and possibly indefinitely until real action is taken, Trudeau was asked again to comment on discrimination.
My job as Prime Minister is to stand up for Canadians' values, to express those values, and to ensure that I'm standing up for Canadians' interests as well, and I'm defending those interests. I will continue to do that. In regards to defending racialized Canadians and supporting people all around the world in the fight against racism, I will continue to do that. We have done much hand in hand with the Black community over these past years on supporting them, on reducing barriers, but we recognize there is much more to do here in Canada, right across the country. We will continue to do that work.
Now, also in his press conference, he was asked about various other topics from the telecom sector to the U.S. situation and how it affects or shouldn't affect the actions of Canadians at home, provincial matters in Nova Scotia and Quebec, and the underlying tone in all of his responses seemed to be unity, specifically unity through our Canadian values. Now, people in the city of Ottawa will take part in peaceful protesting. Eagle News correspondent Andre Lajoie joins us now with the details. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning, Marco. Yes, no peace until justice. People from Ottawa stands up for their solidarity in Black Lives Matter for a peaceful protest. No peace until justice march at the U.S. Embassy on Sussex Drive tomorrow at 3 p.m. This is to condemn the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. The march is expected to start at the Parliament Hill and go to the embassy downtown Ottawa. Mayor Jim Watson of Ottawa will be taking part of the peaceful protest tomorrow. As said, remember the COVID-19 is still present in the community. Furthermore, Jim Watson reminds people to respect the public health guidelines. And for all those who plan to attend, Mayor advised to wear masks, keep distance, and wash hands as soon as they get home. According to the City of Ottawa, an update of the city efforts to support the racialized community and address the systematic racism in Ottawa was received by the City Finance and Economic Development and Committee. Anti-racism specialists will be hired by the City of Ottawa to build an anti-racism secretariat. Also, the committee approved the appointing of Rideau Rockcliffe Councillor Ralston King as a council liaison for the anti-racism in Ottawa. For Eagle News in Ottawa, this is Andre Lajoie. We live an interesting time.
So, Andre, thank you for that report. I mean, with the protests and rallies going on all over the country, how is it over there? Are you keeping safe? Is everyone practicing peaceful protesting?
Right now, today, Marco, the embassy was getting ready to barricade its embassy to make sure that there's no looting and things like that. Stores, restaurants also barricaded their restaurants and everything. I suspect that a lot of people from the province of Gatineau, Quebec side, will be joining also Ottawa. So there should be a big crowd there tomorrow to manifest everything. So hopefully there won't be any looting here in Ottawa.
Well, thank you for that, Andre. Please keep safe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Marco.
Eagle News correspondent Zarita Sese tells us how the NBA athletes and coaches are voicing their solidarity with the recent protests. She files this report.
For many, sports is seen as a temporary escape from reality, whether it's to forget a bad day or channel their pent-up energy. But as a response to the recent death of George Floyd, we've seen protests take place in all 50 states of the United States, and even in countries like Canada. Athletes from the NBA did not hesitate to voice their solidarity with this movement, calling for an immediate end to such treatment. One of those prominent voices is head coach of the Phoenix Suns, Monty Williams, who wrote an open letter expressing how he felt. The opening words of the letter read, "I'm angry, I'm afraid, and I'm in pain." A statement that we've seen on countless social media posts, captions, conversations, and protest signs. With the future of the NBA still unknown, there are mixed emotions from fans and players alike as to what the league should do next. In a recent Zoom call with Coach Williams, he outlined the potential power that sports can have, especially during a time like this.
In my opinion, it's a connector in so many ways. When you're a kid, all you cared about was playing, being with your friends, wanting to win, and being able to go home and tell your parents about what happened. There were no barriers. Race wasn't involved. For the most part, social class was not involved in it. It was just the pure element of playing. I'm hopeful that if we do get a chance to play, we become a bright spot for our world. Our world, it's not just our country, but the world in general is looking for something to grab a hold of that's authentic, that comes from a good place. But at the same time, I'm hopeful that sport doesn't deflect from the things that we need to pay attention to.
Alongside Coach Williams, players like Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers, and Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics joined the various protests happening in the country. When asked how important it was for him to represent his team, Coach Williams reminded all of us how we can make a change.
Do the best you can with what you have and not worry about the size or the scope of who you're going to reach. You just do it.
Reporting from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Zarita Sese, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you very much, Zarita, for that report. Now, sticking to basketball, it looks like there will be a tip-off this season, this year, with the NBA approving a plan to play the regular season in Orlando, Florida, at Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports complex. We welcome our fellow correspondent in the States, EBC New York sports correspondent, Tenny. Hey, Tenny, what's going on?
Hey, Marco, what's going up? What's up in Toronto, Canada? Well, the NBA is back next month with a 22-team format beginning July 31st and ending in mid-October, where a champion will be crowned. 9 teams from the Eastern Conference will participate and 13 from the Western Conference.
So, Tenny, when we're talking about these different teams that are going to play, you said 22 will be joining, not the full league. Why is that?
Well, it's also due to the COVID pandemic. They had to shorten the season so that the playoffs can get rolling. At the time when before the pandemic, it was already the teams were already preparing to clinch playoff berths. So there's a couple of teams that already clinched playoff berths, such as the Bucks, the Lakers, the Celtics, and your Toronto Raptors.
Well, when you said 22 teams, is it an even 11-11 for both conferences, or is there one has more than the other?
Well, one has more than the other because in the Western Conference, a stacked Western Conference, we have teams neck and neck for different spots in the playoffs. Where in the East, it's pretty much a weak conference. I mean, the Bucks have been phenomenal this season. They were on pace to break the Golden State Warriors record of 73 wins back in the 2015-16 season.
Well, I mean, with all of these potential records that were on pace to probably be broken, I guess now with the season being shortened and the next season potentially being shortened, like what is the timeline that we're looking at between this season and next season?
Well, since the NBA Finals will be played in mid-October, the start of the 2020-2021 season is projected to begin in December. So that's pretty much what they have, like a month and a half to prepare for the next season. So basically, when the NBA returns, it's basically anybody's game. Everyone is starting fresh. It's pretty much 0-0.
And so when you say that, it's anybody's game, then I guess it's not necessarily just who's on the team, but I guess you're just cheering basically for your favorite team. So other than, let's say, everyone's favorite team, the Toronto Raptors, the reigning NBA champions, do you have any other favorite teams that you're rooting for?
I'm not biased like you, Marco. I love all the teams. But yes, your Toronto Raptors are one of the favorites. They've played phenomenal. Nick Nurse has proven that he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. They're just phenomenal. They've all stepped up. Siakam, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, still a great point guard, a great leader, and they still have a good record even without Kawhi Leonard. So yes, they are the potentials because, you know, I root for them because not only are they the defending champions and not only the only team in Canada, but, you know, you have to root for them because one of the most difficult things to do in the NBA is to defend your NBA title. And that's really just difficult nowadays because there's just so many great teams out there who are really hungry for that title. So,
well, yeah.
Yes.
So when you're talking about, you know, our favorite teams, you know, if it was up to Tenny, you know, East versus West, who are the two teams you'd like to see at the finals this season?
Well, my hometown Knicks aren't going to be there. But if it were up to me, if I were like, you know, if I could say, hey, you, this is my dream NBA Finals this year. I've been rooting for the Los Angeles Lakers since the time Kobe Bryant passed away. It's just a feel-good story. Everybody wants them to win. Everybody on the team got to do it for the Black Mamba. I mean, LeBron has been phenomenal. AD, their bench, I'm a huge fan of them. They have great chemistry, but kudos goes out to Frank Vogel and his coaching team. Jason Kidd, the rest of the assistant coaches have just done a phenomenal job with this team. And they have great chemistry. They're my favorites to win the NBA title, but who do I want them to see? I always love to see Lakers Celtics battle in the finals. That's just the classic rivalry in the NBA. But there's also great teams that you want to see. You want to see the Bucks. You know, I want to see the Greek Freak, you know, earn his first NBA title. They're also just a great team. I love watching them. I love watching their pre-game ritual where they're all wrestling each other, pretending like they're in the WWE. They're a fun team to watch. And, you know, you got to root for Kuya Eric Spoelstra. You got to root for your Laguna Pride. They have also been a surprise. Jimmy Butler. You have Kendrick Nunn, the rookies, Tyler Hero. They're also a great team to watch. So if it were up to me, there's just so many. There's Lakers Celtics, Lakers Heat, LeBron's former team, and then there's also Bucks. So yeah, the East. But if I had to choose, I would love to see Lakers and Raptors, just for you, Marco, so you can have fun saying, "We the North."
Well, I mean, it would be nice to see the Lakers in the finals, you know, like you said, if it was a classic matchup against the Boston Celtics. But of course, me being biased for where I'm from, you know, in order to be the champ, you have to beat the champs, right? But like you said, it would be a great story if the Lakers would even make the finals because of everything that's going on in around the U.S. and around the world. You know, sports has a way of uniting people, whatever view or whatever side you're on. So, you know, the sooner sports can get back into the business of starting, so that the people can enjoy it and unite with the passion that we have for our favorite sports teams, the better it will be. And my hope is, you know, when the Raptors are in the finals and the Lakers come here for Game 7, you're more than willing to come over here. We'll take you to Tim Hortons and we'll show you around the city. And of course, you can join us in the parade after the clock hits 0 and we are the second-time champions. Thank you very much, Tenny. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Marco. And you gotta treat me for some Tim Hortons.
You got it. Well, to see more sports discussions, tune into EBC Sports International Home Edition. Lots of talks, lots of debate like this that I just had with Tenny, and lots of interesting conversations. And you can find them on YouTube and on Facebook. More great programming from EBC. That's our program for today. On behalf of the team in the States and in Canada, we will continue to keep you updated, hopefully entertained, but most importantly informed, so that you can continue to keep safe your family, your friends, and of course yourself. Thank you for watching. Salamat sa pagpanonood. In Toronto, Marco Zerudo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Bonjour, good morning, magandang umaga. Stay tuned for Aguila Balita, hosted by Maricar Velasco.
Thank you, Marco. See you next week.
Take care.
Gagamitin ng DOH para sa